Hello. For those of you who may have stumbled on this YouTube channel, and probably only a handful of you, this is the revival of Ear on the White House, and in some ways, revival is exactly what it is. The last time I posted on this channel was in August. That evening, while my wife was in D.C. visiting our daughter and grandson, I decided to go for a run. It was a perfect evening to do that, not too hot, but apparently moments after I started the run, I lost all memory of this, I collapsed on the ground close to my house. Someone, and I never found out who, noticed my fall and thankfully called 911. And just as fortuitous, the Baltimore City Fire Department ambulance arrived within 4 minutes. I was suffering from cardiac arrest, and the medics restarted my heart to the point of being able to transport me to the nearby University of Maryland Medical Center. There, I stayed in a rather precarious situation, never really regaining consciousness for a while, but not understanding really what I was saying and doing. A lot of it is comical, as my wife, our daughters, and my sister Candy, and others, including cousin Noni, recount that I was saying things just whatever came to the top of my head and made no sense. Along 2 weeks or so, along with the good wishes of many of the people that I work with at CBS News Radio and WBAL Radio here in Baltimore, alongside with competitors as well in the news radio realm, the support of all of those people was very important to get me moving again. With a pacemaker and a defibrillator and the help of professional cardiac rehab people at the Johns Hopkins Bayview Medical Center, I was able to return to CBS News Radio in a capacity making money. My broadcasting voice is still obviously a work in progress. I've decided to return to the YouTube channel of Ear on the White House slowly, as President Trump is set to deliver his State of the Union address. More on that in a moment. But I want to express deep thanks to the people in my life, especially my wife, our 2 daughters, their husbands, our grand twins and grandson, I'm just mentioning now, along with other relatives who reached out. Thank you all. Now, President Trump is set to deliver his State of the Union address. He's made clear it will go on for a long time. The speech is in the House chamber, and it comes as the Department of Homeland Security funding issue remains, centered on how ICE and border agents are conducting their jobs. In the One Big Beautiful Bill passed last year, DHS got dedicated funding for border and immigration enforcement that prompted the hiring of hundreds of ICE agents who by all accounts were minimally trained and had no understanding of constitutional protections for Americans and even migrants in the U.S. legally, and they've all seen that play out in the past few months. It's spreading out from Minnesota to a place near all of us. Democrats specifically needed the use for a supermajority in the Senate to halt new dollar funding that was going to the Department of Homeland Security. And this House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries explained on Fox News Sunday.
So we believe that this moment should be used to make dramatic changes to ICE that are bold, that are transformational, and that are meaningful, that include lifting up the Fourth Amendment and ensuring that judicial warrants are actually required before ICE agents can break into the homes of the American people. We believe there should be independent investigations so that if ICE breaks the law, state and local authorities can investigate and prosecute them, as is the case with every other law enforcement agency in the country. We believe that sensitive locations like houses of worship, like hospitals, like schools, and like polling sites should be protected. These are basic common sense demands that have been laid out.
Okay. Forgive the position of that clip, but I wanted to cut out the top weather crawls during the Sunday snowstorm that would have been distracting. Border czar Tom Bowman says ICE tactics are changing, but there seems to be plenty of videos you can see, especially on Instagram, telling otherwise. American citizens, especially with brown skin, have been caught up in the ICE bullying, along with a lot of migrants living in the U.S. legally. A lot of Democrats will boycott the State of the Union address, where Trump is also expected to talk about American military ventures from Colombia to, anytime soon, Iran again. His tariff gambit was struck down by the Supreme Court last week, but he intends to go around that with short-term powers. The president's job approval rating has slumped in new polls as the economy chugs along, but with great insecurity about the future for average, non-wealthy Americans. Look for him to try to stay mostly domestic in his focus, focusing on what he says is the greatest economy in U.S. history. But what if he says, if anything, about the ice hockey controversies during the Olympics will serve as dessert? With Ear on the White House, I'm Bob Costantini.